Good morning. Welcome to Options Center. It's Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. Welcome, everybody. We have some breakdown in structure, and so I want to make a intraday video so we can see kind of where our targets are in the near term and the longer term. Not too extensive, just more on the daily time frame down to the 65. And we don't usually go over futures, but I just want to give you a little perspective there as well. So if you're new here, go down to that bottom right-hand corner, hit that Options Tender logo and subscribe. We do these videos often, so make sure you hit the notification bell. So I eliminated most of the trend lines on the futures because I decided to take the contract changes out, and I like this point of view better. So we don't usually go over this anyway, so it's not going to make much of a difference to you. But let's look from this first ES. This is the S&P futures. You see we have this large rising wedge. We have our first structure broken down from this wedge. And so we're looking at some downside here, at minimum a correction. So in the daily time frame, our first real target here is going to be down to this about the 5,050 area. Okay, that's the former all-time highs, that zone right there. Okay, so if we get below that in this initial impulse wave, and by impulse I mean we should see a nice large 5-wave move down to this area or to the next. Okay, I do have I need to put another, and you'll see different perspectives, but I'll put another line support right here. We have good support here as well. All right, so we may get as far as about 4,800 is what I'm talking about on this initial move. Okay, I know that's a huge move, but it's not all going to happen at once. You're going to have a 5, 3, 5, 3, 5 wave structure headed down here, and it could end as soon as here for the first initial impulse, and then we get our bounce and head lower, which would be much lower bounce and lower than that. Okay, and in a sense, we're just looking for the first impulse, and we'll look for that on the 65-minute before we our shorter term projections. But right now, our first target really is about 5,050 area in the ES. And you see we broke down this rising wedge at this point. Let's move over to SPX, and then we'll do SPY. The SPX is put on our daily. Trend is our friend. Perspective. So we have this channel marking the bottom here, to this top, to our top, our recent top here. Now we did have a throw over this point, and then we had a breakdown after a back test. Okay, so we'll look in there a little bit further, but I want to show on the daily time frame, this is about our first target. Is approximately the 4,700 zone. Much different numbers than ES. Those will converge over time, but at this point we have a real differential on they're never the exact same, but futures eventually either come down to the SPX or the SPX makes it up to the ES. Okay, so they do converge over time. That goes with any tool such as the VIX and things like that. We look at the VIX futures to very often to compare with the VIX VIX as opposed to the /VX. Okay, boring stuff. Here we go. So our first initial target would be around this 4,700 area on the daily time frame, and all that is this. From this structure here, we had a consolidation area where we thought the top would be in a double top, broke above, and so we had a whole nother leg that moved up. And like I said, to the top of this channel. Also for our expanded wedge top, that was all the confluence there with the also this wedge. Breaking down from the wedge. And so really our only, on the shorter term, you'll see that there's other consolidation areas, but really our biggest consolidation area is right here. Okay, so we're going to look to test this area, and that just happens to be the former all-time highs right here. And then we have a huge consolidation zone that we'll look at on SPY, and so we possibly could make it down to the lower end of this consolidation area, which is kind of what I would like to see. This high tested here. All right, you have another one here. And so that would bring us down to about the 4,600 area. Nice big swing move. All right, this is going to take time. It's going to take a couple months to happen, but I think we have our initial top in, and then we can decipher. We'll go to SPY and we'll look on SPY and see what our projections are. For those of you who have watched the channel, we have you'll see that I do this every time to see what our alternate situation is and things like that. So our primary situation would bring us down. Here is highlighted that consolidation zone. That, you see this consolidation zone, that is where this is a little bit more clean. That's where I think we're going. And translated to SPY, that would be the 474 area. Now again, that could, with momentum, could bring us down to the 460 area, which is the standard deviation move from this VPOC. It's the volume point of control on the daily time frame. One standard deviation move from that VPOC is about 460. We clearly had trouble getting past that area, and then once we got above it, we just zipped, rocketed more like it to the upside, and we're probably leaning more towards 2 standard deviations from the VPOC here. So we'll be looking to retest this 474 area over time, and I really could see that since we had such a sharp move here, an impulse wave down would not be an ordinary, a nice large 5-wave move down. And again, it's going to take this a month to 2 months of price action. So this isn't happening today or tomorrow. We have plenty of time for us to catch the ebbs and flows of this move to the downside. And then with our projection, what we're looking at is an expanding ending diagonal. This is our primary count here. We've had this up here for many months. We do this every single video just to check in to see if this is what's happening. So for those of you who are new, it's expanding ending diagonal, aka blow off top. We have an expansion of momentum each and every time a wave begins and ends. So we have our initial wave 1, ABC for 1, ABC for 2, and now wave 3 is going to be larger than 1, ABC for, you see the expansion here, and then an ABC down for 4, which is larger than 2, and then finally the wave 5, ABC, just a massive move to the upside. And it's not required that you go to the top of the megaphone in order to complete this move, but it surely did, and even a poked above there, back tested that wedge, and now is starting to get a reverse here. Now it's not, we don't have any lower highs, lower lows, except on lower time frames. So, could this go higher? Theoretically, yeah, but with all the divergences and everything, I think this is starting to play out. Plus, we hit the top of the trend once again, back tested, and is starting to head down. So we're looking at this price action to bring us into this the 100%. That's our all-time high from before. That would be nice and convenient. We have the consolidation here, and any one of those points all the way down to this former high here would be appropriate. So big area here that we could come straight down to before getting a bounce It'd be a nice steep. I probably don't have it drawn deep enough. Should get oversold, bullish divergences down here, and have a rip your face off rally for wave 2 up, for wave 2 in our primary projection, and then heading lower, and clearly not like this. Okay, that's just for purposes of heading lower, breaking down from this megaphone type expanding ending diagonal. Blow off top. Now the secondary situation is, hey, you know, the Fed can't pivot. Our economy is booming. It's not. We're going to hold rates up for higher for longer, and so we're looking at new highs. But we're still looking for this correction. So I know this is busy. We got to kind of look through this. These are all time stamps, that time relationships that I'll be keeping an eye on. We'll look at this in just a second, where this is all an A. You have a B flat, expanded flat, running flat, excuse me, and then C. All this for 1. So nice large wave 1. This is an ending diagonal. Wave 2, ABC down for wave 2. And a nice large wave 3, ABC for 3. And 4 should be a zigzag structure as well. So that should be pretty darn sharp if this is the scenario playing out. So we're going to have a hard time deciphering whether this is an impulse or a zigzag. We'll have to try to identify it. And it's not uncommon for wave 4 in an ending diagonal to cross over wave 1. So that's why I said this would be much more of a convenient area and confusing to bulls and bears if it comes down to this point, all the way down to the 450 area. And we'll look at the retracements as price gets down lower. There's some very important retracements there too, from the 50, 60% retracement. So, and after that, after we get our retracement, we have all kinds of bullish divergence on the daily and 65, and possibly even the weekly. If that's the case, on the weekly time frame, we have a divergence. Probably, it'd be very likely that we'll see all-time highs here. Nothing is a for sure thing, but so we'll go much higher. And those targets up there, I know it's difficult to see all of this that's happening, but the target up here would be the 162. Let me percent retracement. Okay, so that would be our target up here if we are to get new all-time highs after this correction. And all that is the extension from this move here, from the wave 3 down to 4. That's the extension. We're already at the 128 extension here, 127.2. That's where we're at right now. We're reversing off of it, and we're looking for that 162% retracement as of right there. So that would be our next target if we continue to move higher. And again, like that scenario, no pivot, economy super strong, we continue to go, rates getting higher, we can price action. I know that rates, I'm not going to get into all that. So that would be our target up there around the 560 area, much higher. All right, now we're gonna kind of zoom a little bit quicker. Wait, let's look at our time relationships here. We're looking at our high being in the zone here. That was around 328, and we gapped down lower. So we're into a little cluster here. So maybe this is a recent low here. Maybe that brings us to new highs. I don't know that for a fact, but maybe this cluster brings us into a bounce. And if you look in the lower time frame, it most likely be a 1-2-1-2 bounce before heading lower after that. But we have to keep in mind that we have a cluster here for this week. All right, for this to be a big week, it could be just a minor low here. it could be a new high after this low, because we're getting some sort of doji. So we'll see how this plays out. This doji, if we break down from it, then clearly we're super bearish at this point. But if we get a reversal here and we have a day or two to the upside, then that'll probably be our bounce. A 1 2 1 2. We'll look on the lower time frames and head lower. All right, let's zoom through tech. NQ had our trend line here, really just wasted time sideways, back tested the trend line to get a new high, and now it's finally starting to break lower. The SPX SPY is clearly stronger than tech, so in my opinion, tech is going to lead us lower. And very similar to SPY, we have these consolidation areas right here that we're certainly going to test this first down here, the 17,600 area. But I think with tech being stronger, and it's stronger to the downside, I should say, weaker in a sense, with tech being weaker and leading us to the downside, this should not be our first stop. Maybe we get a reaction off of here, but we should be looking at the next stop being a little bit further down. And I think it'd be more appropriate for this to be right in this zone right here. How did I get that? Former highs or resistance, support, and that's that consolidation zone, support. Price action went up through here, couldn't hold it. Resistance made into support, much higher. Okay, so that is a really good support line there, and I think that's more appropriate for us to get to that price point here on the NASDAQ futures, about the 16,600 area. Zipping through NDX just to give different points of view. I like to chart all of them in different ways. Like I said, we're not going to use trend lines very often on the futures because of contract rolls, but the levels remain very good. So it's a cleaner look here on NDX consolidation area. I think we'll first get to about the 16,500. That's also coincides with this uptrend line. There's only 2 points so far, so it's not a very strong trend line, but this may act as a good support area as we get down to this price action. The next would break this trend line down to this consolidation zone, the bottom of it, which would be a gap in support here. And I think that would be one of those two areas would be a good spot for a nice bounce. And perhaps we get through it, back test that trend line for that wave 2, and then head lower. QQQ. I like to chart mostly on SPY and QQQ for the videos, so this can be translated, because that's what we all, unless you're trading futures, most of us are using these ETFs as retail traders to trade. Consolidation zone. Again, this looks like the zone here, around 400 down to about 383. All right. And this is the wedge that we had for the NASDAQ. And I think there'll be a throw over for that wedge. We'll head lower. That's what I'm looking at, but we do have a nice support area if we zoom in here. You see the trend line, we back tested, threw over it a little bit, just consolidated and starting to break down here. Well, I think it's a real appropriate place for price action to get down to test the top of the wedge and this good support area here. So I do think we have a little bit lower, even if we end the day off a little weaker. We have the gap down. Maybe we try to close gap, fail, and head lower. But I do think this is a more appropriate spot for that. I don't believe this is a new... That would be our all-time high right here. I don't believe this is a 1, 2, but it's possible. So if we're looking on the bullish perspective, this could be one more move higher for an extension. And that extension, I mean, you guys, really, if we start breaking new highs here, that could be an ending diagonal started for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is the trend line from, my gosh, from the 2000 top there. That would be a huge spot for us to take another short. We'll talk about that if and when it gets to that point. Otherwise, we're breaking down from the trend. We'll see what kind of strength we have for this bounce. Projection. I'm not sure I updated this one. Yeah, I do have the top kind of in there, but anyway, I'm not going to worry about the projection. It's very similar to SPX. I'll update that, and that'd be a good one to put in another video, maybe tomorrow, the next day, depending on if something important is happening. Now, our last thing that we're going to look at is the VIX. Our VIX, huge move. We have this consolidation area, which, in my opinion, we should be thinking about this megaphone, which is on the 65-minute. That was one move. There, we have nice resistance here at 1540. Broke down just for a correction, and now gap up higher. Nice move right back into that resistance. So getting above 1550, 1540 area, gapping above or getting above in the next day or two, or sometime this week, would be a good tell. Getting above here and holding above that, our next spot would be to test this downtrend line, which is from the channel that I drew in here in this overall picture. And of course, above that, then we're talking some chaos happening. So keep that in mind. We have a 10% move here. Possible that we get a bounce in the indices if we're rejecting off of this point. All right, maybe just consolidation area. We'll see. Now going to SPY. That concludes our daily time frame. We're just going to zip through SPY and QQQ on the 65. Okay, so we have this large wedge and also a channel. I kind of built in a little channel here just in case, and it looks like you could probably adjust it so it's under here, but it looks like we're getting a bounce off the options expected move for the week, which is a good support area because we had on the lower time frame this consolidation zone. We're hitting the top of that zone, which is clearly a good place to bounce. And either bounce, we don't have a full structure here yet. We have an A, B, C possibly, and we go higher, or we still need to, we have a 1, 2, 3 consolidate, and for a wave 4 consolidation, and a wave 5 heading lower. That's what I was talking about when we're looking for just the initial impulse wave, because we were all-time high here. So far, it's just a corrective move with an ABC, but with a this annihilating gap right here. So with this structure not over, we should get a weak bounce. If we're going to head lower, we should get a weak bounce, probably testing, maybe even closing this zone here. And that could be one of two things. On this Elliott wave picture, see, we have a time frame right here as well. So that's a little bit, might just have a minor low here. So I did not start these yet. This would be just on a really, really low time frame, would be a 1, 2, and that would be 3, 4, and 5 that we get down here. Or if we get just a little bit deeper, it really doesn't matter. This could be a 1, 2, 1, 2 setup for even lower. Either one of those are bearish. And at this point, if it's just a 3-wave move above 520, 522.70 or so, above this point, and that negates all of it. It's bullish above 522.75, we'll call it. that would confirm that this is and it doesn't mean that we can't go lower. It just means that this would be more of a corrective move, being an ABC, and this could be a larger A, B, C as well. But either way, if we get above this 522.75, that confirms that it's just a corrective move and we should see new highs. Okay, QQQ. That's our recent high. Let's go to 65 minute. We have our trend lines here. We had a new high, so we had to put a new trend line going here, gap below it. Had this consolidation area, fake break, and then I thought we were getting back above, and then we gapped underneath. That's some shenanigans there. Good thing we're short. And so we have this gap down. Let's see what kind of bounce we get. Maybe a back test of this trend. But the NASDAQ is already in a 1-2 setup here, heading lower into this 1-2. So a larger bounce here would just make this another 1-2, and maybe that would even us up with the SPY to go lower. But as of right now, once again, this either way, it looks like we're going to at least test this options expected move, because with this either an A, B, C, which is incomplete because we only have a 3-wave move down here. This is a C, it has to be a 5-wave move to complete this move. So either way, this move isn't complete to the downside, but this could be a 1-2 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, again, it's just not complete. Whether you're bull or bear, doesn't matter. VIX, and we'll end this. Okay, this is what I was talking about. We had this kind of megaphone expansion of volatility. Finally broke down from this megaphone. So this structure is complete. That had its completion, and we broke down from it. Fake break, which, if you can look, this was it formed a wedge from this consolidation here. This is the next move. As our bullish falling wedge, we broke out from this falling wedge, and now we're getting that resistance from the 1540 area, and now it appears we're either just consolidating or we retrace for a back test of this wedge, and we head higher from there. I do think this is very bad for the market. I don't think if we break down from this wedge, then it looks like we're going to close some gaps and the market's going higher. But we broke out from here. Maybe we back test, maybe we just consolidate sideways, but we get above 1540 and the market's going to continue to the downside. This structure has some higher highs and higher lows here. So we have a possible 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 3, consolidate 4, and then again, the structure is going to finish off higher. That's bad for the market. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for joining us here at Options Center. We'll talk to you soon.